Okay, so the polls are open. It's 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and we're having voters come in, and everything's ready. So first of all, a couple things about operation. Number one, we want a blue piece of tape about 3 or 4 feet in front of this machine. That's the queue line, so voters are going to wait behind that while one voter approaches the machine and puts their ballot in. Okay, that's for voter privacy. The other thing we're going to do to protect voter privacy is for us to stand about 2 or 3 feet away from this machine. We need to be able to look at this screen, but we don't want the voter to think that we're leaning on this machine and watching votes go in. So we're standing back. We're also looking at 2 things. We're making sure that the green light is on. When the green light is on, we can put ballots in the machine. We're also keeping a good look at our public count. We want to make sure this number goes up with every voter. And we'll explain something in a little bit about that. But first, let's see how we put a ballot in. This is a sample ballot, okay? We're going to put this ballot in. They can go upside down, back, forward, whatever. Sometimes during the election, ballots, as we unpack them with a little bit of moisture and stuff, they get a little hard to work with, but this is a great machine for all that. So green light is on, the ballot goes in, we hear it dump into the bin, and we see number 1 go up. That's a good ballot. That's 90% of what you're going to do. However, we have a couple different instances we need to talk about. The first is an overvote, where a voter marks both choices for one race or the whole ballot. So we have the overvote. It's going to go in, and again, we won't know this until it comes back out and the tape prints. Okay? And we look at this tape, not the ballot, and we say, it looks like, sir or ma'am, you had an overvote. Can you look at your ballot? Is that how you wanted to vote your ballot? If the voter says, yes, that's what I wanted, I'm going to bypass, there's a little button, bypass validation, I'm going to hit that, and in goes an overvoted ballot. None of those races that are overvoted will count for that voter. You might want to explain that to them. The other thing we see is when voters do an undervote, where they neglect to choose anything for one race or the whole ballot is blank. Okay? So we're going to put in an undervote, and it works about the same. The machine's not going to like what it sees. It spits it out. I look at this and I ask the voter, is this how you wanted to mark your ballot? And if he or she says yes, then I bypass validation. And in it goes, okay? A blank ballot. Now, for each of these instances, if the voter says, oh no, that's not what I wanted, give the voter their ballot back and send them over to the ballot station where the ballot officer will void the bad ballot and send the voter over with a new ballot. You may also want to tell the voter that before they get to the ballot station, they should mark all the choices on the ballot so nobody knows how they voted, okay? But remember, nobody gets a new ballot until they trade in an old ballot. Okay? The other thing about ballots we want to watch is that the voter only puts one ballot in the machine. If a voter comes up with 2 ballots, and the only thing I can think of is they're bringing one in for a friend or a family member that had to leave, you just tell the voter you can only put one of those in the machine. Pick. If they say I have to put both in, call the chief. Okay, and we'll deal with that voter. But one person, one ballot, one vote. Okay? The other thing that we want to look at is a jam. I'm not going to jam this machine on training, but we do get ballots stuck in this machine sometimes. If you can if there's some ballot that is still visible, and if we can gently pull it out of the machine, okay, that will be fine. But if you're having trouble, if you're afraid to tear the ballot, if it's jammed actually in the machine and we'd have to pull this out, you need to tell the chief, and you need to take your machine and face it so the secure emergency bin is now facing. Now, the chief is going to call us, and we're going to come down and work with you on the jam, either electoral board members or myself. And in the meantime, voters can put their voted ballots in the emergency bin. Again, we want to come down and work on the machine, number 1, because we have a little more experience with it, and number 2, just the optics of people working in the polls going into a machine, not really good. So when they see, other people come in, other election officials, it looks a little more fair and on the up and up. So that's your ballot jam. Now, when all the voting is ended, we're going to show you how to close the machine down.